Hey, it's Andrew Downs. I'm proud to support Three Beards Media, and I would love to work with you. If you need merchandise for your company, organization, band, softball team, whatever, I can help. From name brand apparel to promotional items, large orders or small, online stores, and more, I can help your brand stand out. AKC Marketing is local, based in Johnston, and we are an employee-owned business, so our costs are low and our turnaround times are fast. But most importantly, we give you personal service to make sure you get exactly what you're looking for. Email me at andrew@akcmarketing.com or find me on social media, and let's make some cool stuff together. Now sit back and enjoy this Three Beards Media podcast.
Red and gold on the edge of the sky, feel the rumble, hear the battle cry. Out in Ames where the storms ignite, we don't back down, we rise and fight. Jack Trice's his name, yeah, it echoes strong. A story of honor still marches on. Through the rain, through the pain, through the fire we roar. 'Cause we were built to thrive in the eye of the storm. Feel the ground shake, hear the crowd roar. Cyclone power, can't take no more. Legends rise, this is our norm. We stand tall in the eye of the storm. There's a cyclone blowing on the outskirts tonight. Jack Trice shakes when the team takes flight. Milton's rocking, hear the magical. We rock together, we'll never fall. Feel the magic, you can't deny. Marcus Stars are taking off straight to the sky. Brick, big play, Kirby making history. When the moment gets tough, that's a cyclone way. Through the trenches, through the lane, through the heat, through the rain. When the storm comes blowing, we embrace the fight. 'Cause the cyclones strike when the time is right. Feel the cyclones strike when the time is right.
What I came upstairs for?
Welcome back to In the Side of the Storm, where we talk all things Cyclones. We're live from the AKC Marketing Studio with Andrew Downs and sponsored by Revelton Distilling Company out of Osceola, Iowa, and Dan Douglas with Green Beret Realty. I'm Dave Larson here with my Storm Team partner and Cyclone great, the legend himself, Marcus Pfizer. Marcus, what do you think of that new intro?
Nice tunes.
Whoa!
New tunes.
Whoa! I must have missed the memo from Chris Shipley on that, but that
I don't think he sent the memo. I think he hit us with that one by surprise.
that
Pretty
kudos.
cool. Cool.
That was absolutely incredible. I love it. That's just awesome. Well, after
cool.
that, I totally has thrown me off my game here. But Marcus, last night the men went down to Iba Arena in Stillwater, Oklahoma, and lost. It was a surprising loss, I think, to all Cyclone fans. I heard a lot of talk about it on the shows, different podcasts that I subscribe to. Did not get a chance to tune into any of the radio. Probably a good thing today. But 74-68 to really a mediocre Oklahoma State team. At the end of the day, Curtis Jones came back. He missed Saturday's game at Houston due to I think I've heard now walking pneumonia. Keyshawn was out for both games again last night, though, due to a knee injury. What do we take away from last night's game against Oklahoma State? That was a shocker.
At the tip when we got in the group chat, I said this is scary. This is going to be a scary game. I just know that arena. I know those fans. I know the Big 12. That's one of those games that you quietly slow it down, rock them to sleep. And then before you know it, we're trying to claw back into it at the end of the game. And we made some runs at the end, but they just, we couldn't pull it out. Mr. Keyshawn is definitely a big loss at the moment. Not having him and Curtis against Houston were two big losses. But I said not to take anything away from Oklahoma State. At home in the Big 12 is always tough to get a road game, but I think we're good enough to beat that team,
right?
Even without one of our starters. So very disappointing. now that's 2 in a row. I hate when we get on these skids where it's like, what's going on? Like, if we can understand losing, a game, that's understandable. You're going to lose some games or whatever, but the ones that you can't understand, those are the ones that make me, stay up at night. I don't have an attitude, but I have an attitude for the rest of the night. Like, my wife would catch me every once in a while and say, damn, I can't believe we lost that game. And she didn't even, I picked her up from work today. She asked me, did you guys win last night? And I was like, no. And she was like, oh, because I didn't say anything about it. I think I was that disgusted about that loss.
Well, and the thing is, we went down to Houston just before tip-off. News started to come out that both Keyshawn and Curtis were going to be missing for different reasons. Curtis didn't even make the trip down on the plane, which is a smart move. You hate for him to spread whatever he had to the rest of the team and then having to fight through that for 2 weeks because, as you know, one guy gets it, then it just spreads, and it takes a couple of weeks to really get through everyone. Keyshawn with the injury, he came and really they put up quite a fight against a top 5 Houston team in their at their home arena. And so I guess my expectations were higher with this Oklahoma State team having Curtis Jones back. But I tell you what, the shooting, I think overall shooting wise, we're 42% or so from the field, but from the outside, we were just not effective. I think Momcilovic, I wrote down, was 4 for 14, 2 for 9 from 3. He had just 10 points. Curtis did not shoot well himself, which makes sense. You're trying to get your legs back, and when you've been sick, if you know anything about running up and down a court, I mean, the legs are probably the last to come back to you.
Right.
He shot 2 for 8, 1 of 3 from 3, had just 11 points. Taman did not shoot well either. I think I heard his first 6 or 7 shots were all threes. He finished 3 for 11 from the field, 1 for 8 from 3 for just 9 points. Just did not shoot well. Still fought, clawed, had a chance. Oklahoma State tried to give us the game with, I think, 4 technical fouls called against them. I mean, that was about as disappointing of a loss as I've seen in some time. And in that same group chat you're referencing, we asked ourselves, I think Chris Shipley piped in, hey, is this the worst loss of the Otts era? I question, it may not be the worst loss of the year. I think the consensus is it's pretty darn close to being the worst loss of the Otts era. I would argue that Kansas State loss at home earlier this year. Now, Kansas State has seemed to play better after they played us, but at the end of the day, they're still 7-9 in conference. I think Oklahoma State is pretty close to that. I would argue that loss at home was worse, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think the K-State loss was probably the biggest disappointment to me, almost akin to, us losing to Drake that one year.
You're referring to your year.
Yeah. Losing to Drake. It was that. Because we were ranked high, playing well, and to just come out, and they just flat out beat us. Kansas State broke that long home court winning streak that we had going too. Right, and so to go through a game like that and then get on the road and lose to a Oklahoma State team like this, like you said, we played extremely well in Houston, even though we couldn't pull it out in the end. But I thought we were going to respond a little bit better for this game. So I wouldn't say it's the worst loss in the Otts area. It was a big one. It was a big loss. It was on the road, but that one at home against Kansas State. There's no, it was like one of those days where I feel like it was raining all day and just you can't go outside. Whenever you go outside, it's cold and it's rain. It's like I cannot believe, and people, man, your boys went down to K-State at home, and I'm like, don't come in with that mess. Like it happens or whatever, but I didn't expect that one to happen at all. Being on the road, Houston, I figured it was going to be a tough one. Very encouraged by the way they played, though. That was really, really exciting to to play that well. Did do you know if they traveled back home or they stayed on the road and just went straight to Oklahoma State?
That's a good question. I would assume that they would have come back, but I guess I don't know for certain.
Yeah,
they would have had to come back to get Curtis at the very least, unless Curtis they brought him down. Yeah, well, he could have.
So there's no real rhyme or reason. It's just a game that we lost. I mean, like we've always said, the 12 is what the 12 is.
Are you suggesting that Curtis Jones has Marcus Pfizer pull in regards to choosing to fly or not? You were sharing in that group chat that you chose to fly to Iowa City?
I was trying to fly to Drake. I hate driving on the bus, man. Any way possible. Like I said, Coach Perry was like, come on, Fonz, what are you doing? I'm like, man, don't give me the opportunity to say, like, meet us at the airport.
All right, we got Ward here who's responding that we're damn near unbeatable. I completely agree when we're healthy. I think that was one of my takeaways for all of this is that we really are a team. We're 17-1 when everyone's healthy and playing. That one loss was against Auburn, who they're really good. And we led them by double digits throughout most of the game before losing at the end out in Maui. Boy, that's been forever. And then really we're 4-6 when there's somebody that's missing. I think that's, for me, one of the takeaways of these last few games and really the last few weeks, last month when Momcilovic was out, is we are that epitome of a team. It really takes everybody to be involved offensively, defensively, to be in position, and you sort of know what everyone's role is and everyone's expectations. One of the other bright spots I thought coming out of even the last couple weeks is Nate Heisey's play. Boy, he's really he played pretty well last night. I think that I think he ended up with 12, 13 points, shot well from the outside again, seems to be playing with confidence. I saw a little back and forth between him and some of the Oklahoma State crowd of what there was. I mean, that stadium was like 20% full. That was an embarrassment out of Stillwater in terms of crowd support there. Feel sorry for that team, but Heisey's play has really impressed me.
Recording looked like it was 40 people out there.
Yeah. Well, they show crowds during free throws or whatnot, and there was nobody there. That was a hot mess.
Yeah, but I mean, thankfully we hadn't had a lot of players to go down in bulk. I mean, when you lose a player or a starter, whatever, you would like to think that someone is going to be able to pick up the slack a little bit in whatever way to get these wins. I mean, I know we lost Martine early in the season. I think we lost Paul for a couple of times for a little short while, and then they were coming back, making their way back, and things like that.
Refresh my memory. Didn't Paul have a broken foot? Is that right?
I think they both ended up having like a broken foot. I think Paul had like a stress fracture, but Martine broke it. I think like the fifth metatarsal, whatever that bone is, whatever. So he missed a lot of time. In which we foreseen him getting a lot of playing time in the beginning, and so it was really, really tough. On the bigs, me and Stevie, and some of the other guys and things like that. So, we just had to do the things that we had to do to try to win those ball games. And once they got healthy, come back and let's keep rolling. Like I said, I knew Houston was going to be tough. They played well. I didn't see Oklahoma State. I'm glad I'm not a bit man. I'm glad I don't understand overs and unders and points and all that different stuff, because I would have lost a lot of money if I would have bet on myself that. Because there's no way with this team you was going to tell me we were going to lose to Oklahoma State with 19 people in the crowd.
Speaking of Stevie Johnson, I saw that earlier this week, it might have been yesterday or Monday, his birthday, Kentrell Horton's birthday. So a couple guys from your team celebrated birthdays this week.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I got to send them a happy birthday message. I want to know. I've been on Facebook a little bit doing, ruffling a little feathers here and now politically, but I don't.
Oh, I've noticed. I have noticed.
Ruffle a little feathers politically. I mean, I mean, it's the way of life now that we're dealing with now. I'm a firm believer in. I'm not a pro anything. I'm not pro black, pro whatever, pro Christian, anything like that. I'm a believer in feeling like it's one side and this other side, and we got to have a discussion about how this thing can be even. I didn't like competing in basketball in practice where my side is loaded and the other team isn't. Like, I mean, we got to have some even balance in this world to be able to, be on common ground. And, that's just the things I like doing, to speak the rhyme of reason to a few different people on social media. But there's a lot of people in Iowa that, no offense, but they think they know me because I played basketball at Iowa State. Like, I'm 46 years old, and I was 18 to 19 when I went to Iowa State, and a lot of things has changed in life since I've been there. But like I said, if we want to have a conversation politically, we can have a conversation as grown men. As long as you hear my side and I hear your side, it's not going to be one-sided in anything in life to me.
All right, so let's talk some more Cyclones. With the season now, we're really getting close to the end now. Team is currently 4th place in the Big 12 Conference at 11-6. Likely, we're going to drop out of the top 10 in next week's poll. We sort of thought that might have happened this past week, but did not, and just due to some of the dynamics of different teams losing around us. Really, I think the bigger risk is the potential for dropping out of that 4th seed in the conference tournament, because those top 4 teams, it's pretty important to be in there to get that double bye in the tournament. Although one of those teams that are nipping at our heels is BYU. We play them next week. They're 10-6, again, just a half a game behind us. KU is 10-7. With this last couple of games and the injury bug and illness, have your expectations for the season changed at all, Marcus? And what are your thoughts? If you were to look in that crystal ball, where do you sort of see this season ending?
It's tough to say, Dave, because you never know what you're going to get in this conference. Like when I tell people when I played, I literally did not know who we played next. I literally didn't know, because my focus was so much on that team that we had right then. And then after we played them and beat them, we're on to the next one to figure out the game plan for the next team. Because you can't look down the road in this conference. We're focusing on Houston. Okay, let's see what we can do. Maybe get a win there. I got 2 starters out. I got 2 players out. Lose that game. Okay, well, we can bounce back and go against Oklahoma State and not practice or focus on them extremely well. And then now we've lost 2 in a row. So you can't really ever tell. Like you said, getting that double bye is very important. We've gone 4 and won 4, but that takes a whole lot out of you, getting ready, trying to gear up for the NCAA tournament. So the best way you can get into that to win as many games as possible, to be solid, get everyone healthy. If it's going to be a situation where we're in the heat of the 4th position, 3rd position, 5th position, and it's more important to get the guys healthy, then I'd rather us get the guys healthy, because once we get into the NCAA tournament, whatever can happen. We've always surprised a lot of people, been a lot tougher than a lot of people expected. And, at the end of the day, that's my focus and goal. I'm not really concerned about the rankings or anything like that. I'm concerned about the guys, being locked in the way we were at the beginning of the season, because at the beginning of the season, it was scary. I'm sure Auburn didn't expect, to come out and be down by double digits and having to pull out, a last-second tip to win that game, being the number 1 team in the nation. And we was rolling extremely well. It was exciting to see. The play was exciting. I don't know if the guys are getting tired and worn down or whatever it is, but, it's really time to lock in now.
Well, that's something that I was listening to Brent Bloom talk about earlier today, that we haven't really had a bye this week, or a game where we've had that midweek or a weekend bye game where we've had a night off. It's been 2 games, 3 games a week, really, since the Big 12 season started.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people want to see the Cyclones play. A lot of people want to see the Cyclones lose. So they're gonna, bring their A game, and a lot of people who aren't, have never played basketball or sports or anything, they don't understand that. I see all kind of things on social media talking about the Lakers and, LeBron and now Luka, they played so well or whatever, or Charlotte beat them. And I say, you don't understand, like, when you play on a team like that, they're going to bring their A game. My rookie year, we beat the championship Lakers on Tuesday and lost to the Clippers on Thursday, both at home. So you all excited, beat Kobe, Shaq, and then we lose to Darius Miles and Quentin Richardson. No disrespect to my guys and everything, but they weren't the championship Lakers. So you're going to give your best effort for the better teams, and so that's why it's not surprising to see West Virginia beat us at home, and K-State coming out in the Hilton and playing extremely well, and losing to Oklahoma State on the road. Like I said yesterday, this is a scary game. I can see it happening before the tip. It was just as at the tip occurred. I looked at the screen and I said, "Man, this is going to be a scary game." And I hope I didn't jinx us, but hey.
I'm going to put a muzzle on you for the next game.
I'm not going to text until 10 minutes into the game.
Did you see the wheels that Luka Doncic pulled up in? And then the second car that was the Nike Jumpman, the Jordan Jumpman, is that what it's called? The purple, is it a Lamborghini that was rolling around L.A. just prior to that game? Woo!
I didn't see it. I can't fit in a Lamborghini.
I've
never fit
a Rolls Royce.
I had a Bentley. I never had a Rolls Royce. I got to get a big car. But I've always been envious of smaller, shorter guys that can fit in cars and stuff like that. I've never sat in the passenger seat of a Lamborghini.
Wow. Never sat
I got to look that up
at all. So
I got to look that up.
Next games, we've got Saturday's game at home at Hilton at 8:00 against Arizona. The rematch game. I think there's revenge is definitely on the Cyclones' mind for that one. And that's going to be really, these next three games are huge. Arizona on Saturday, following Tuesday, another home game at 8 against BYU. That's going to be senior night. With BYU on our heels, that's going to be an important game to stay in that top 4 for the Big 12 tournament seeding. And then the following Saturday at Kansas State, which again, we talked a little bit before, that disappointing loss to them at home. And, they feel like they've got something to prove, as we do too. A little bit of a revenge factor for the Cyclones, and especially heading in towards the Big 12 tournament, you want that win to finish the season strong.
Yeah. It's going to be a twofold. Yeah, for sure.
One thing we didn't talk about, that Houston game, that cylinder call that was called on Nate Heisey, and what Cryer had sort of, I took another look at that, the video of that, and it looked like Cryer actually stepped into Heisey, paused, and then did the sweep move. And that's where they called Cryer for the foul, went to the instant replay, flipped it, and called Heisey for the cylinder call. Can you give your perspective on that? I think in our text chain, I really thought that had Cryer stepped forward and then stepped back and then made the move, yes, that was the appropriate call to make on Heisey as a foul. But the fact that he stepped into Heisey and then made that move, I felt like the call was correct the first go around. It should have been called on Cryer as a foul. What's your perspective on that, playing in both college and in the NBA? What's Marcus's thoughts?
Well, the whole cylinder rule is something, I don't know how long ago that they implemented that. I mean, because it was a time for us where we were the ball elbows high and clear them out of there.
That's how I grew up playing, right? They taught you that.
You get
swing
caught,
your elbows.
Swing them quick. I used to yell at the referees, they better get a mouthpiece, because I'm coming up through chins and everything when I'm swinging. But now it's different where, and I get it, because guys will get way up under you and crowd your space, especially if you on like the baseline or something like that. You got to have some kind of room to maneuver because guys will foil and fall out of bounds and try to draw a foul like that. But in that particular play, I don't think that it should have been reversed. Initially, like you said, I thought it was on Cryer, but it's kind of, I guess it's still the referee's discretion. Of course, Houston's going to love it. We're not going to love it because it's against us and it turned for them. But it's a delicate play to happen. Of course, they're trying to eliminate guys getting hit in the face and concussions and all that different stuff. But like we said, that's how we're used to playing. Guys getting up under you, crowding you, not allowing you to move the ball. And at any rate, we knew that if you got that close, like you had to, but now it's, if you get that close and you're in the cylinder, they're going to call a foul on you. So it just depends on what the referee is going to, it's to their discretion.
All right. I think we beat that horse enough. The ISU women lost at Baylor at Saturday as well while the men were in Houston. They really did not shoot well against Baylor. And Baylor's a good team. You can't do that.
Good team, yeah.
Audie had 2 quick fouls and sat early. But the team really returned to form last night. Again, I think I got busted by Shipley in the text chain. I was not talking about the women in Lubbock or in Boulder or in Stillwater. I was really talking about how well our women were playing. But nonetheless, Audie against UCF on the road, the women won last night 98-73. Audie Crooks had 29 and Addie Brown had 20. Audie shot very well, 9 for 12 from the field. Addie was 7 for 10. Ariana Jackson, really, she's turned it around these last 2 or 3 weeks and has been a big difference maker. It seems like when Ariana Jackson is flowing from the outside, that team looks really good, really sharp. Sydney Harris had 3 3-pointers as well, finishing with 12. Their next game is their senior night, Sunday at 3:00 at Hilton against a really good K-State team. Really, if you're a fan of women's basketball and the Cyclones, if you're going to attend one game this year, you really need to attend Sunday. That's with its senior night. It's Emily Ryan's last home game. Emily, of course, was a guest on this show earlier this season, and it'd be really great to see a bunch of Cyclone fans out there cheering on that team. They have a lot to play for, just as the men do. They currently sit 7th in the Big 12 with a chance, depending upon tonight's games and some of the other upcoming games this weekend, to potentially sneak up into the top 4 of their seeding. Again, they're sitting on the outside looking in at 7th. But depending upon how Oklahoma State, Utah, and West Virginia finish out their season, I think 2 of those teams play one another tonight. The women, it's going to be a big game on Sunday. So I'm hoping that everyone can make it. I certainly will be there and plan to grab a couple of my kids to get up there if I can. I don't know about you. My daughter turned 16. We found a nice little car for her. She doesn't like the fact that I'm installing a camera into her car, and she reminds
to watch her or watch her head.
It's to watch the traffic.
Both.
And so she complains that her older brother, in fairness, did not have that camera installed, but we didn't really have the technology to be able to easily install it, thanks to Mr. Amazon Prime. And so I got a great deal on one of these little cameras, and it shoots the outside, and then you can see on the rear. And she's all paranoid. I'm sitting at my computer watching her drive around. I told her, no, it's a file that I have to take my phone, sit in her car to download the file. It doesn't work that way. So, but I'm going to grab probably both of those kids to go up and watch Emily Ryan and those seniors finish out in some style on Sunday.
That should be cool. I definitely, that should be exciting to definitely see the senior night. I was excited about if I got to a senior night, which I ultimately didn't.
You missed yours, yeah.
Man, that would have been tough. That would have been real tough. I seen Stevie and them the year before, my junior year, and everyone was chanting 1 more year. I was saying to myself, I don't think I'm going to do that. That's going to be kind of tough. But no, I hadn't decided then. It's just a really, really emotional time. I know for those guys it was, and I know, for these guys this year and the women is going to be emotional. So that's something that I did think about for sure.
And we talked about it because your family home had burned, and that was one of the reasons why. Otherwise, you would have stayed, and certainly in the NIL era.
That was the reason. That was the reason. Otherwise, like once we lost and I got back home, going through a little depression. I was watching games, watching different stuff, sitting on the couch, just sitting on the couch, just watching TV and just really thinking about the next season and everything like that. Trying to get my thoughts together, focus on what went wrong against Michigan State, and the phone rings, and it was my dad on the phone, and that's when they gave me the news right then and there. Ooh. And I just remember, like, damn, being devastated from hearing that. And this was, in March, and they said the house had caught a fire like months before, and this is in 2000, so it wasn't cell phones, get nobody text. Didn't nobody know my house number or anything like that, so it wasn't people calling me. It was easier to, conceal information and stuff like that. But once I found out that they had been living out of a hotel for some months, and so I was like, yeah, that's
If it were 2025, you would have found out almost instantaneously through Twitter. I'm sure.
I'm sure somebody would, or somebody in the family would have been out there with the video camera FaceTiming me with the house burning.
So you didn't make that decision until after the season was over. Okay.
100% after the season was over. Sit on my couch. I had a little, my fiance at the time. We just had one couch in the living room right in front of the TV. And she was at work and I was just sitting on the couch. Like I didn't go to class that day. I was just sitting on the couch just watching TV. I remember looking through a magazine, fucking national championship trophy come through on it. Oh, that really pissed me off even more. So now I'm really, really, man, this year's going okay. And then the phone rang. And that was my dad. And, we just had a talk. And, my dad always say, "Yeah, well, look here." That's one of the things that everybody know when he's about to get serious. That's his transition. Well, look here. I know you don't know nothing about what's going on, but and I was like, so I called Coach Stacy. And Coach Stacy had a conversation about it, and he was like, "You got to go." And so, the preparation was finding the representation. My dad had spoken to a couple guys. The guy who actually ended up being my agent, Henry Thomas, which is D. Wade and Chris Bosch, Mike Finley, a whole lot of other guys from Chicago's agent, and the rest was history. But I definitely wanted to come back.
I want to turn the corner here and talk a little football. We shared a few weeks ago now that running back and assistant head coach Tyler Roll had accepted a role with the NFL and the Detroit Lions. The team shared earlier this week, I think it might have been yesterday as well, that they've hired a coach to fill that role, another former North Dakota State coach, offensive coordinator Jake Landry, who led the Bisons to the playoffs. And in fact, they won their FCS national championship this past season. He was named as the running back coach for the Cyclones. He's now the second former Bison coach on staff. Wide receiver coach Noah Pauly is also on staff as well. So welcome to Coach Landry. And I saw his picture. They actually announced it on the news tonight. This weekend also, tomorrow is former Cyclones are participating in the NFL Combine, which starts up. Jaden Higgins, Jalen Knoll, Jalen Travis, Malik Verdon, and Darian Porter are all expected to participate. I believe that the on-field workouts for Porter and Verdon are Friday. Higgins and Knoll are Saturday. Jalen Travis is Sunday. But make sure that you check out the complete schedule for the NFL Network. I'm sure that'll all be posted out there. I found it pretty easily just doing a quick Google search of that. Marcus, do you remember, we just talked about your experiences and the decision that when you made to enter the draft, what was your pre-draft process like? I'm sure it's different than going through the scouting combine, but at the same token, you're expected to be one of the top picks, and you were, in fact, one of the lottery picks there at number 4. What was that process like for you in terms of tryouts and interviews with teams, and what was that experience for you like?
Well, though I didn't participate in the combine, didn't participate in anything dealing with that being, projected to be a top 5 pick. The picks were New Jersey, the Vancouver Grizzlies at the time. It was Vancouver Grizzlies. Clippers, Bulls, and the Magic. And so they had me going either 3 to the Clippers or 5 to the Magic. And I worked out for the Nets at number 1, the Grizzlies 2, Clippers at 3, and for the Magic at 5. I didn't even work out for the Bulls.
Wow.
I mean, they had just drafted Elton Brand the year before. And so now here you are with 2, 6'8", 6'9" power forwards. Why would I work out for? But Coach Floyd was there. And so worked out for all the other teams twice. Came to the Bulls, had to pick, and they took me at number 4. So it was definitely a surprise. You can find the tape from that far back. You can see my agent, kind of, because even back then the green room was different. Like, it was the players and then the crowd on the other side of the curtain. Now it's just a whole big open atmosphere. They got cameras to see whatever. So we knew who was going 1, 2, because you had your own table and the cameras came to your desk, to your table, for the announcement and to get. So when they came to my desk at number 4, my agent and I was looking at each other like, what the hell? Because it's the Bulls. And so, he was on the phone calling Jerry Krause and trying to get Tim, what are y'all doing? Because when I didn't go 3, we knew for sure it was going to be 5, to Orlando. And I was, thinking about Orlando, the sun, and all that different stuff. And when they came to my table, it was like, so that happened. So that was pretty much the process. I mean, I didn't work out for any teams. I didn't do anything during the combine for the different teams. They just want to do different things. You play, shoot, run, little small stuff, not to get anyone injured, but just for PR purposes and all that different stuff. They pretty much knew who they were going with and all of that.
So the pre-draft experience, are they flying you all around to each of these teams? Are they coming to you to a local gym? What was that like? And did they space it out where you could work out for a team, take a couple days, and then work out again, or was it back to back to back to back?
They fly you out. Once it got closer, you didn't want to space it out too much because it's just like playing basketball. You get your workout in, and all that different stuff, rest, and then if they may want to work out the next day or whatever, or typically the agents want you. You had a good workout, you get the hell out of there, and you go to the next place. But Elgin Baylor did come to Chicago to work me out again.
That's cool. That's awesome.
Really, my goodness.
One of the legends of the game.
That's the first time I had a bison burger. My agent introduced me to bison burger, but I just remember just the whole time just sitting there, things running through my head. I had a terrible workout by him too. I had a better workout with the team in, so they came again, but because it was the whole, he worked me out, so it was like a whole different aura of everything that was going on, and so we spoke afterwards after having lunch and everything like that, and my agent told me I think he felt a little nervous, like hell yeah, I was nervous, I was missing dunks, ball popping all to the top of the ceiling. It was a little small gym. I can tell you what that gym was again to this day in Chicago. But it was really, really cool to be able to be a part of something like that with him. Like I said, I was living in Chicago training in Chicago with, the renowned trainer Tim Grover, who's been MJ's trainer his whole career. But I didn't even do anything for Chicago. I mean, I didn't expect to be there.
Wow. All right. I want to take a quick time out, hear from our great sponsors. And I think last week I really enjoyed having this sort of random discussion on a couple of different hot topics, one of which just came up today involving athletic director Jamie Pollard. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Have some NBA items I want to ask you about as well. So let's hear
about the NBA.
Let's hear a quick word from our sponsors.
Making great tasting bourbon requires the perfect combination of ingredients, conditions, and time. The longer it rests, the better it tastes. Revelton Distillery's new single barrel bourbon is made from 80% corn, sourced 100% from Iowa farmers. And unlike mass-produced bourbons, each barrel of Revelton's single barrel bourbon is unique, proofed on when it tastes best. As they like to say, it'll be ready when it's ready. And to ensure the highest standards of quality and flavor, owners Rob and Christy Taylor oversee the production and bottling. Every single barrel. Iowa born, Iowa aged, Iowa bottled. Try the new single barrel bourbon from Iowa's own Revelton Distillery. ReveltonDistillery.com. When energy meets precision, anything is possible.
I'm Carter Hawley, the Chief Energy Officer of the Iowa State Cyclones. I'm full of energy on and off the court, but nothing gives me more energy than helping families find their dream home. And that's where Green Beret Realty comes in. They're more than just realtors. They're a team dedicated to getting things right for you and your family, just like we get it right on the court. Sometimes it takes a team to get the call right. And when you're buying a home, you want a team that makes all the right calls. That is Green Beret Realty. And here's the best part. When you buy or sell a home through Dan at Green Beret Realty and mention this ad, he'll make a donation to the We Will Collective, helping student athletes like me thrive on and off the court.
Green Beret Realty, because getting the call right means everything.
All right, we are back to In the Side of the Storm. And thanks again to our sponsors. If you've not yet tried Revelton Distilling Company's Mulberry Gin, this is absolutely fantastic. You can buy it in most stores. Hy-Vee, in particular, is where I go, or I just stop down to Osceola and pick it up as I'm passing through town. They've got a great tasting center as well, where you can try out all of their drinks. And so thanks to Revelton and also to Dan Douglas with Green Beret Realty. Such great people. And we're live here from the AKC marketing studio with Andrew Downs and Marcus. We teased it a little bit before we went to break. So Iowa State Athletic Director Jamie Pollard, who we have also had on this show, had made some comments. It was posted through the Iowa State Daily, which is the student newspaper. I can't say I've been seeing their stuff here recently, but boy, it made me want to take a quick peek. Apparently, Jamie had spoken at a student event yesterday and sort of a panel discussion, I think, that they do with students throughout the school year. And he had answered a number of questions about the athletics department, the Cyclones, Cy-Town, even the school colors, of course, came up. But really what seemed to be the focus that raised a few eyebrows when he was asked about alcohol at Hilton and at Jack Trice Stadium. And really it tried to explain some of the complications with introducing the sales of alcohol. And I think we've seen it at concerts at Jack Trice where the setup is just not really conducive to selling alcohol in the stadium. There's quite a few long lines at the concessions as it is, and to throw alcohol in the mix might be a little bit too much in terms of how the setup is. He also brought up the behavioral issues, which I think to a lot of us that attend games is really no surprise. if you've been around people that have been a little bit loud and obnoxious, and sort of becomes an uncomfortable situation. But he did make a comment that I think was one that kind of surprised a lot of us. And he said, quote, "People are slobs. People are flat out slobs, and that's without selling alcohol." I think he really was talking about the fan experience, not necessarily the fans themselves, but I think it really kind of came out that he was talking about a lot of us as fans, and I really don't think that's the case. We've talked to Jamie before. That's just not his persona, and his primary concern has always been on the fan experience. And as a dad, it's not really something I want my kids to be around, particularly when they're younger, and those obnoxious guys and gals that are just yelling and screaming obscenities. It's not a great experience for kids. And, I do remember that the atmosphere, what it was like really before Jamie Pollard came, and really it wasn't conducive to family life, to the family experience. And now we've seen year over year the growth of the fan base in Jack Trice. Hilton has always been there, but within Jack Trice Stadium, you see it now. All-time record sales for season tickets. We've had to expand the stadium because of the fan experience now. I think that Jamie is doing something right. I don't know that selling alcohol is going to add that much value. I mean, let's face it, we can all just sneak it in, right? But I think that the comments in terms of the slob maybe comment, I'm sure I would think that he might want to take that one back. But any thoughts coming from you, Marcus, on that comment?
Well, I'm sure now he realizes or thinks that wasn't the best choice of words to use. I'm sure he was thinking, what we tend to think in our mind may be a little bit different than, what the perception is. But we know, how good of a guy and what's important to Jamie Pollard and with the athletics and everything there. So once I heard about it earlier and then Chris shared it in the group chat, I read a little bit and I try to read a little bit further into it. And I get the gist of it, what he's saying and everything like that. And, for someone that's really not a drinker, it's been well over probably 20 years since I've been drunk. So things like that. For some people, they like it. For me, I don't like to be in a situation where I'm out of control or just inebriated and stuff like that. So in a lot of different situations, for me, I can understand and see. Tempers and mentalities are a little bit different when you're not, a little bit on the buzz side. So if it's not going to, hey, we're not getting a $1.9 million a month budget from, Anheuser-Busch or something like that, it's something not to even be considering or thinking about if everything is going as well as they're going. Of course, a few people wants to have some booze or whatever the case may be, but if it's not going to be the best for the totality of it all, like I said earlier, I'm about, the balance, not one side being happy and the other side not being happy. Let's find the happy medium and keep things the way they are so everyone can enjoy themselves.
Well, and if anything, I would suspect that we would be selling Ames Lager for the We Will Collective. That would seem to make quite a bit of sense too. And I'm not going to apologize. I'm a Jamie Pollard fan. I'm a supporter. As far as I'm concerned, the guy we should provide, have a statue of Jamie Pollard inside town once it's completed. I mean, you look at the vision that he's laid out during his tenure over the last 20 years, and Iowa State athletics is in a far, far greater position than it has ever been in the history of this university, particularly with all the changing landscape of college football and men's and women's basketball. Our programs are in that upper tier. And you can't have always have said that about
Right.
Iowa State. And you can't argue with what he's done and what he's implemented. So, yeah, I would like to see alcohol, but at the same token, I'm also fine not seeing alcohol in Jack Trice, knowing the fan behavior. And whether you call it being a slob or just being an obnoxious drunk, I'm okay not having the obnoxiousness in the stadium.
Right. I mean, since he's been at the helm, he's done some great things without a doubt. I mean, from whatever sport it is, like with the sense of pride, I literally see people walking around here in Vegas or in LA or wherever I'm at, wearing Iowa State gear and going up in stores and seeing Iowa State gear. That's a great feeling to see and understand that, people are looking at us as a program that are competing at higher levels than ever before, without a doubt. So he's not going to jeopardize that for a couple of, booze to be sold in the stadiums and the arenas and things like that. And what's more important is the fan experience, the family experience, because a lot of people do bring their children and their young children, and you want them to be able to have fun and enjoy it, look up to a lot of different things. I mean, let's say I know for sure Taman Lipsey was at football games and basketball games when he was a kid. Yep. To have that experience of wanting to grow and to become a Cyclone as well. If something would have happened in the times of, the games that he's gone through and guys throwing beer bottles and, cursing each other out in fights, he wouldn't have wanted to be a part of that atmosphere. So, we definitely support everything that Jamie has been doing and continuously doing for the program. And like I said, probably not the best choice of words, but at the same time, I've definitely heard worse.
Well said. Well said. All right. In and around the Big 12, Utah men's basketball coach Craig Smith was let go yesterday. That a little bit of a surprise. Utah was 7-9 in conference, but they are looking to go in a different direction. Arizona University, they apologized for some fan comments that were made that were derogatory at BYU players when they played them on Saturday night. It was the Cougars actually beat the Wildcats in a wild, high-scoring affair. Apparently, some of the Arizona students were chanting some explicitives about the Mormons as they were exiting or leaving the court. It kind of brought up what kind of shenanigans did you face or did you see when you were playing for Iowa State when you're on the road? I mean, it happens everywhere. I think it depends on. There's probably a line that fans should not cross, but it does happen.
You're always going to have that. I guess you want to say a little humble brag type thing. There was no one in the Big 12 that was stopping me, so it really didn't matter. But the funniest thing that I ever heard was when we were in the University of Missouri, and the crowd was just yelling, "You guys are built on the floodplain. You're built on the floodplain." And I was like, "What the hell are they talking about?" And so, the Paul was like, I think they're talking about, how I'd be flooding in Iowa State and flooding in Iowa. I'm like, that's the best y'all could come up with, that we're built on the flood. I literally didn't understand what it meant. We won that game in Missouri, that game, it really did. But it was the funniest thing to me. Like they were chanting that in the layup lines before the game started. And I was like, man, you have to really be bored to come up with something like that to talk about how much it rains and it floods in Ames, Iowa. But, for the most part, I do well at ignoring the crowd. I do well in – if it wasn't the coaches or my teammates, I'm really, really good, especially when I'm hooping, to tune the people out, because you just really never understand what they're saying anyways. But, once you get into the derogatory part, name calling, could be racial stuff like that or whatever. Like I said, a lot of that I just miss because I really don't pay attention to. I'm here for one thing and one thing only. And, as long as you remember the player jumped out on the court in front of Gary Payton, and Gary just stood up there looking at him, and they asked him, "Well, what were you thinking?" He was like, "I was thinking if he was going to swing, I was going to knock his ass out." So as long as that didn't occur, then I'm fine. We're just here playing ball. I know people are emotional and everything like that, but you can get right outside the arena, and those are the same people trying to hand you something to sign. It's just all sports.
Also in college basketball, I don't know if you saw this, but Indiana celebrated Bob Knight last weekend. So it was 40 years ago where Coach Knight threw the chair across the floor in a game against Purdue. Well, they play Purdue on Saturday again. They allegedly brought the same chair out for Coach Mike Woodson to sit on. Is it me, or is that strange?
You said allegedly. I have to see if that's the actual chair, because I mean, you have to think that's something Coach Knight probably would have wanted in his, in his home or something like that. I mean, could you imagine how much that thing would be worth if he signed it?
We're celebrating throwing a chair across the court, though.
Well, it's the legend. It's the legend of Woodbine. I played with AJ Guy, and he and I had a lot of conversations and talk about Coach Knight and Coach Eustace. It's the whole aura of what people think about those type coaches. And when you have a mental toughness of understanding them, you get what's wanted and what's needed. Did Coach Eustace throw chairs? Not at us or across the court or anything like that. Was he hard, on us and hard-nosed and stern about different things? Absolutely. We know, he'd go off on a tangent in a second about, I remember Stevie used to always say, like Fives, you just look at him and just stare. I'm like, because, he's getting off his chest what he's getting off his chest. I mean, can't nobody over here beat me up, so I'm not worrying about that part. You're not going to throw no chair and risk, me 6'8", 250 putting my hands back on him. So when you think about the dynamic of it all, you understand that it's more. And Coach Knight was doing something for his players, for the team, and against the referees. It's a whole gamemanship against them, and it worked. So I would really like to know if that's the actual chair. If that was the actual chair, that would be pretty cool. But I would have thought before he left, somebody would have gotten him to sign that, because that would have been worth a whole lot.
What are they doing keeping the chair? Where do they keep it, like in a special case somewhere? What are they doing with this chair? Seriously, it's been 40 years. Is it sitting in a closet somewhere? Do they have it up on a big pedestal?
If he didn't have it at his home, they probably did. It definitely wasn't in like a locker or a closet or anything like that. It definitely was somewhere. It definitely was somewhere out. Did it? Well, you said that he sat in the chair. Did the chair break? I thought maybe the chair broke.
No, he sat on it, and then he had like a big, thick cushion that was like, it was huge. Because Mike Woodson's a big guy. Like, he's a former ball player.
Yeah, that's the NBA thing. Like, that's one of the things, because chairs are so low. And I saw somebody saying, like, the other day, LeBron, I'm sitting on a boosted seat. That's not what it's about. Well, essentially, it is a boosted seat because we're so tall and chairs are so low, you want your legs at 90 degree or at a higher angle. So that's what it is, And so Coach Woodson is taller too, so he will sit on one of those things like that. It's just a, leg and back thing that they have for us.
All right, last topic before we exit out here. Did you see the Atlantic article about Orlando Magic's Caleb Houston? Do you know what I'm talking about? So Caleb Houston is an NBA player. He's 6'8" tall, and he has never dunked in an NBA game. So we're talking over 2,000 minutes of play. And those 2,000 plus minutes are long enough, according to The Athletic, to watch Ken Burns' 9-episode Civil War documentary 3 times on loop. He is the tallest player to have never dunked, current player to have never dunked in a game. Can you imagine never having dunked in an NBA game?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's crazy. Well, I mean, not even on the fast break. Did he choose? Is he choosing to lay it up, or just never had the opportunity?
Well, he feels like he's not had really the opportunity because he's more of an outside shooter, is the story. I think he tried to do it once in a game and muffed it up and just hasn't gone back to the well again.
Well, here's the story. Jamal Tinsley was missing layups in practice, and you station, damn it, Mel, just dunk the ball. You dunk the ball one time. Dunk the ball one time right here in practice. I'll give you guys a day off for the next 2 or 3 days. Jamal told us, Get out the way. When I tell you this guy put on a Vince Carter episode dunk contest, we were blown away. Stacey's face was so red, he was so pissed off. I'm talking about between the legs, 360, bouncing. There's no way in hell we thought Jamal Tinsley had jumped, and then we got right into the game on the fast break, and he just laid the ball up. Never dunked it, just laid the ball up. And he had to give us those days off, but he was so – Jamal always found little ways to, because he used to do little stuff, and you say she's get out of here, just kick him out. And so you say she turned around one time, and I just looked, and I said, man, that's what he wants, right? And so he stood there and looked at us for about 15 minutes straight, not saying a word. He said, you know what, Pfizer? You're right. Go get him. Go get him. So we had to go get him and come back out to finish practice. But Mel always knew how to skin and do the things that, he didn't want to do to make him mad. But at that point, a lot of people don't believe that story, but we were totally blown away. We didn't even think he could dunk. He's tall enough, got long enough arms, but the show he put on in that little time, I said, man, you got to be kidding me.
See, and the thing is, I would expect that you guys would have known if he could or could not, because before practice, before coaches are there, you guys are messing around, warming up, screwing around, and you would have thought that he would have thrown a couple
Jamal
down.
Was warming up. Jamal was one of the most talented, just out of the bed players ever. Wasn't no warming up, was no none of that. It wasn't no shooting. It's just, we warm up, get into practice, and he's getting steals, he's dropping dimes, and he's ready to get out of here.
Marcus, you've got to send Jamal a text so we can hear his side of that story. I really want to hear it. Believe it or not, the record for the tallest player to never have dunked, in this, according to the same Athletic article, Steve Novak, a guy that played in your era, he was more of a three-point shooter. 6'10", played in the NBA from 2006 to 2017. He has a streak of over 5,600 minutes in the NBA without a dunk.
So he never dunked ever in his career?
Never dunked.
That's crazy. I mean,
now I think the article makes reference that had he known that he was going to be called out for not having dunked, he would have dunked, but apparently he never did.
That's crazy. Like I said, Brian Scalabrine and what was the shooter, the Red Rider from the Spurs? I can't think of his name. The white kid with the red hair. No. Oh, he had a funny jump shot, but it would go in though. Even he. So.
We're gonna exit off here, and we're gonna both remember at the same time. So
all right.
That's hey, thanks everyone for joining us for another episode of In the Side of the Storm. Basically, we have 3 weeks left. We've got this week. We have the Big 12 play or Big 12 tournament play the following week. Then Selection Sunday, the NCAA tournament. We are there. This is really the hot meat and potatoes portion of the schedule. This is what we've been waiting for. And better yet, Marcus, we have no more snow left in central Iowa. It's all melted away. Spring is here. March Madness is on our doorstep. So let's make sure we get out, support the Cyclones, men's and women's both. Celebrate those seniors in particular. Everyone, we have so much left to play for. Marcus, it's good to see you. Brent, we hope you're doing well. We'll see you in a future episode. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Again, thank you to our sponsors, Green Beret Realty and Dan Douglas, and, of course, Revelton Distilling Company out of Osceola, Iowa, and here with the AKC Marketing Studio. We appreciate everyone, and thank you for watching and listening, and we'll see you on our next episode. Go Cyclones.
Go Cyclones.
When the team takes flight, Hilton's rocking, hear the magic call. We rise together, we'll never fall. There's a sign. shakes when the team takes flight. Hilton's rock and hear the magic call. We work together, we'll never fall. CYCLONES, Cyclone Nation, we're the best. CYCLONES, feel the storm.